Trump just telling NBC News that it's okay if America enters a short recession thanks to his trade war.
Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you know, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history. Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall Street say this is the greatest thing that ever happened.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, though. It's the same question.
Yeah, there are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
Long term. Yeah. Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, yeah, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
Of course, Trump has promised an economic boom on day one. As for a windfall from those tariffs, if that's what he's referring to, that's not something people on Wall Street have thought about, at least in terms of a windfall. His word, it all comes as one of the nation's biggest industries tonight is sounding the alarm, warning that hundreds of businesses are shuttering and tens of thousands of jobs will be gone with empty store shelves because of Trump's trade war. That is not just a minor recession. It is the warning tonight from the footwear industry. They have just written a letter to Trump in which they write, if the current situation continues, American footwear workers and consumers will suffer. This is an emergency that requires immediate action and attention. Jeff, we just heard the president talking about the economy in this new interview with NBC, pushing back on fears of a recession. What is the thinking in the White House right now on the economic scenario as we enter another weekend where they've said there would be multiple trade deals and we do not yet have one?
Aaron, one word I heard there from the president, it's something we've been hearing really all week, a transition. We're in a transition period. The economy is going to be in a transition period. That was not a word that was used when Donald Trump was running for office. There was no mention of a transition period through his tariff policies, essentially hold on. So I thought that was interesting. It's something we have really heard him say repeatedly. But you're right, at the end of this day here, at the end of this week here, we've heard much talk about how the president wants his advisors to reach some type of a trade deal. There has not been one announced. Aaron, it was very silent around here today at the White House. The president was spending the day at his Mar-a-Lago resort. He has a Republican fundraising dinner this weekend. He will be returning here on Sunday. But we will see if a trade deal comes next week. But as of now, there have not been any. The question is why? Are they not finished? Yeah. Are the partners not negotiating? But the bottom line of this, the president said he would lower prices. Now he is essentially, and he did again in the interview, urging people that the prices may go up a bit, even a recession potentially. So the White House was thrilled to see the jobs numbers that today hold steady. The president once again called for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. They meet next week. No signs that they will do that. But again, calling for a transition period, not something he did when he sought the office. Aaron?
No, and he said, of course, it would begin the day that he took office. Thanks very much, Jeff Zeleny at the White House. And everyone's here with me now. So, Dan, you hear Trump, he was saying that, obviously, he's saying you would accept a small recession in the short term because it's worth it in the long term. But then he talked about all these people on Wall Street, he said, who thinks that what he's doing is great and that it's going to bring in a windfall.
I can tell you, look, 25 years on the street, there's no one out there that would view this policy as bullish. And the reality is, and we'll talk about, is that the market's been up because Wall Street knows they're going to have to ultimately take steps back, get deals done. And no one wants a recession. And you look at GM,
and they assume he doesn't either, except for he just said he's okay with a small one.
And again, him saying that in the reality, because the worst thing you ever want is stagflation. And that's why the market is telling all the advisors, whether it's India, you got to get deals on the table now. Otherwise, market's going to lose patience.
Windfall.
You know what? It's baffling. I'm sitting there trading the market every day. We've had 9 days of an incredibly bullish market, right? Advances versus declines have been up, and we've regained we've regained some numbers.
Yes.
Since everybody keeps saying that we've regained all the numbers since Liberation Day. It's not true. There are so much of, first of all, confidence hasn't been eaten away. There are a lot of stocks that are not up the exact same amount as the indices are up, right? That's clear, right? Some of the bigger names, even in tech. Okay, my gut is, and I'm trying to make sense of this on a day-to-day basis, when you've got strong market, 90 handles on the S&P, 800 points on the Dow, and you're seeing a broad-based rally. And it's baffling to me that we are here. But the only way I could interpret it is that Wall Street is a leading indicator.
Well, because they think that he is going to back off and end this because it's not good for the economy.
But it's a game of poker.
Right?
And they
Yeah.
know-
Yeah, but I'm hoping. You'll often see the market and the economy go in concert. Sometimes they diverge, and sometimes Wall Street is what takes us out of this stuff. And my hope is that this rally we're seeing is what pulls us out.
That works if it's the wealth effect. If you get more, if people's wealth, they see their stock market, they see their portfolio goes up, therefore they feel wealthier. And as they feel wealthier, they go into a consumer spending. The problem in this case is that absent the market gains, there's nothing else there underpinning it. It's a hope and a prayer that's really pushing the market.
And mainstream America is not making money in the market.
And if
they're not in the market that way.
If you look at, let me just give the president the benefit of the doubt. If you talk about a transitional period, yes, Reagan had a recession in 81, 82. Thatcher had a recession in the first few years. But they had solid economic policies based on monetarism, love it or hate it.
Right.
That required that sort of medicine. This is just wantonness.
And Richard, I'd also say it's medicine, but it takes 4 to 5 years to build a factory. What's the reality of the situation? Even when you look at
Is
Apple,
it medicine or is it poison?
But that's and even when you look at Apple, it's really India. That's how they're getting around a lot of the China.
And they're waiting for that one. All right, Tuckman, can I give you the whiteboard today because you're going to love it?
Sure.
Okay? All right,
You're
going to give me the way.
I'm giving you the white. He's going to love it. So the footwear industry, I read that
sneakers.
quote. They told Matt Egan today from CNN, no amount of tariffs are going to bring the jobs here. We pay the tariffs. The American consumers pay the tariffs. These are not external revenue sources. They couldn't be more clear. So here's the number. Here's the whiteboard. Are you ready? 99%. That is the amount of footwear made outside the United States that's bought in the United States. That's what he means. No amount of tariffs is going to bring this back, and we should not want it back. 99%, it doesn't get higher than that.
Look, we know what jobs are Americans going to start taking now? To one point that you said, yes, it's 4 or 5 years away, but when I speak to people who are seeing things through Trump glasses, they're saying yes, but who's going to be building those factories, right? We're going to start that right out of the gate, and in that way, then Trump is lived up to his promise that we are going to be putting
But those are
people back to work.
manufacturing factories. Those are not footwear factories.
And that's part. And we've talked about as the boats start to, you see the shortages come through. Look, if you like $400 Nikes, we should make them in New Jersey. If you like $100 ones, you make them in Vietnam and China.
Well, look what China did when he did the pause and he got picked a fight with China and said, we're pausing with everybody but you. And they had everyone in China. They had people in the factories there who are making the really high-end luxury goods, actually making advertisements that you can buy the stuff directly from us. The stuff you're buying from Hermes is not Hermes goods. They're being made here in China.
Laura, I've been waiting 15 years to use this quote.
Go for it.
Laura Tyson, the former economic advisor, principal of London Business School, guru. Laura Tyson wrote in her book many years ago, Who's Bashing Whom, that America will have a shoe industry when Americans are prepared to pay more for shoes. And if you take now today...
I mean, the moment for the quote came.
Exactly.
The moment.
20 years I've been waiting.
Tuckman got the whiteboard and he had that quote. It was like a fly in the face.
But it's true. The moment, I'm not going to show you, but my famous shoes, which are made in China, the moment they're made, if these were made in the US, they would cost more.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the ergo of it.
Right. Well, and that's what, when you came back to Scott Bessent, who, said, well, the essence of the American dream is not cheap goods. Of course, I mean, there is a philosophical argument we could have about the American dream, but to many people in the way we live the American dream, that is the American dream.
And it all goes back to, in the U.S., you like goods, you don't want to produce them. And it comes down to, if you like $3,500 iPhones, we should make them in the U.S. If you like $1,000 ones, in China or at least even in India.
There's a sophisticated point that you made, though, a moment ago, which we talked about debt and Americans living beyond their means. The People's Daily in China made exactly that point recently when it said, fine, America, you carry on, but the real problem is America is living beyond its means and its productivity gains do not justify the standard of living.